Okay, so today we are talking about inverse functions. So I kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. When I plug a function into its inverse function, it gives me x. This one is wanting me to find an inverse function. So it gives me a function, and let me back up. An inverse function is where my inputs and outputs are switched. So if I'm asked to find an inverse function, I want to switch my input and my output. Number one wants me to find the inverse function of f of x equals 4x. So what I want to do is I'm going to change this to y equals 4x. And then I want to switch my input and output values. So I'm going to write it as x equals 4y. Okay. Then I want to solve for y. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4, which gets me y equals x over 4. So then my inverse function is using this inverse notation. And then I'm going to write f of inverse x equals x over 4. So at the final step, I replace my y with my inverse notation. Yeah? Wait, say that again? Oh, I switched my letters, x and y. Any other questions here? Okay, so now I need to verify that both f of my inverse function and f inverse of my normal function give me the identity function. So the first thing I'm going to do is f of my inverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug the x divided by 4 in for the x in my original function. So remember yesterday I was saying if we get x, it is an inverse, but I have to get it for both of them. So this one works, and I need to check the other way around, because sometimes it gives me x one way and not x the other way. So then I want to do the inverse function of f of x. So this one I'm plugging in 4x in for the x on my second function. What do you mean? Okay, so this simplifies to x. So this one works. This one just asked me to verify, so I just needed to make sure they both worked. What? The first equation? So I plugged in x divided by 4 into this 4x. And then in the second one, I plugged in 4x for the x on the x over 4. So same thing on number 2. Oops, I didn't want to move that all the way off. Same thing on number 2. I want to go ahead and start by finding my inverse function. So I'm going to rewrite this as y equals x minus 6. And then I switch all of my letters. So it's going to become x equals y minus 6. Okay, so then I want to solve for y. How do I do that? Add the 6 to both sides. So I get x plus 6 equals y. So my inverse function is x plus 6. Okay, then I want to go ahead and verify. So the first one I'm doing is f of my inverse function. So this is the one where I'm plugging in x plus 6 for my x value. Okay, so what does this simplify to? X, so that's good. From my original function? What do you mean? I replaced, and so instead of writing the x, I wrote x plus 6. Yeah. My original function is x minus 6. So I'm replacing the x from my original function with the x plus 6. Okay, so then I want to go ahead and do this the other way to check. So I'm plugging into my inverse function. So this one I'm plugging in the x minus 6 for my x in the inverse function. Okay, so what do I get when I simplify? So this one also gives me the identity function. So questions here. The fact gives you the functions though. You don't have. Okay, so on the back side, guys. So on the back side, it's giving me the two functions and it wants me to check to see if they are inverses of each other. So what I want to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and plug this in for my x over here. No, because that's not what it's asking me on this question. This one's asking me to show that they're inverses of each other, so I have to plug it into each other. And since it's asking me to use algebra, I have to show work. Oh. Okay. Guys, be quiet. So, what's the first thing I want to do after I plug it in? So, I have a cube root that's being cubed. Yeah, so those are going to cancel out, and it just leaves me with the stuff under the radical. So I have 2 times x plus 1 divided by 2, and then minus this 1. Because the opposite of a cube root is a cube. Yeah, it was already cubed. Okay, so then what do I want to do next? Okay, so the 2's cancel out because I have a multiplying 2 and a dividing 2. I'm not there yet, but yes. So then I'm left with x plus 1 minus 1. So, what do I get next? I already have that, so it's just x. So, does this give me the identity function? Yes. So this way works. And then I want to move on to the next way. So this time I'm plugging in for the x in this function. And this is going over the whole thing. Yeah? This 3? Yeah. Is it minus 1? Yeah. Okay, so what's the first thing I want to do on the g of f of x? The 1's cancel. So I'm just left with 2x cubed divided by 2. So the 2's divide out. Okay, so then the cube root of x cubed is, so this one works. Questions there? Okay, so number 7 wants me to see which function is the inverse of f of x. So I am going to plug in both of these and then see if I can figure it out. So first one I'm going to do is f of g of x. I wanted to do this in blue. So I'm going to be plugging in this x minus 2 over 5 for this x right here. Okay, so what's the first thing I want to do here? Does this 2 have the same denominator as this 2? I want to make it have the same denominator right now. I have to have the same denominator on the bottom of the fraction before I can flip it. So because these have 2 different denominators, I can't flip it yet. So I'm going to multiply this by 5 over 5. So I still have that 5 on top, and I still have the x minus 2 over 5 on the bottom. What is 2 times 5? 10. Yeah. So then what can I do? Okay, so I can combine like terms. That gives me x minus 12 over 5. So now I can multiply by the reciprocal. So I can do 5 times 5 over x minus 12. So then what do I get? No, I only multiply the top numbers. Because remember, this is over a secret one. 25 over x minus 12. Can I simplify this? Does this give me the identity function? No. So this one doesn't work. Huh? What about the other one? Yeah, so it's going to be the other one. So it's going to be the h of x equals 5 over x plus 2. If I had gotten it equaling the identity function here, then I would have plugged it in the other way to make sure it works both ways, and then I could say that one was my final answer. Questions here?